Hello, everybody. How are you? This is Seyi once again. Thank you for everyone that keeps joining every time that we come on live. This is Finding Purpose with Seyi, as usual, where we come in and discuss, real life issues. We talk about subject that is affecting every one of us. So if you're just joining us, please share. Please let someone know that we've started. It's going to be a great and very, very inspiring, session today. And I'm so excited that we're here today. So for those that are just joining us, you're welcome from Facebook, from YouTube. Thank you for joining us today. And for those that will be joining us or watching on the replay, it would be nice, just let's get your feedback, when you're watching this on replay so that we can get to catch up. So for those that are familiar with the way we roll, welcome once again to Finding Purpose with Seyi. And today we're going to be talking about a very, very dear topic to me, which is parenting and mental health. This week is the Mental Health Awareness Week. And it's so important that we know that we are not alone in whatever we do. And it's so important that we know that there is help. And knowing that what there is help, how do we get the help? How do we parent well? And how do kids also, they have a say in this also. So, and that's just going to be our discussion today with my very, very special guest, that I have with me today. We call her Ronke Posh. And I'm going to be bringing, she's backstage, but I just want us to, if you're watching, just do the drum roll as we normally do, before I bring her up, and share, let people know that we are live already today. So I'm just going to bring her on. Hello.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm
Good
fine.
evening.
I'm fine. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm also sharing with my community. I have done before, but I always like to send a reminder. You know how it is.
Yes.
So much going on these days. Yes. So last
I know.
minute, I always like to send a reminder as well for those that may have forgotten.
Yes. That's I think that's the go-to area and what we do nowadays. You come on live just to remind everybody because of the busy schedule that we all have within our community. Have had to do like a short live to remind people, and everybody is busy with the community that we have now. So it's just good to share. So if you are watching us, please share. As we do. So that then everybody will learn from what we're discussing today, because it's important. I'm just going to read a bit about your bios. It's a lot. And I just wonder how you do what you do. But I'm just going to read a bit, then I'll just let you, say a bit, more, something different from what we know from your bio. So Ronke Adeni is our guest today, and she's fondly called Ronke Posh in a fun, lovely, and energetic, and she's a lover of God, a wife, and a mom. Ronke Posh is also a certified and experienced Montessori directress. She received a training from the Modern Montessori Institute in London and hold a postgraduate diploma in education. Ronke Posh has vast experience in banking, education, and children and entertainment sector. She's a serial education entrepreneur who loves to empower and motivate the young and the old. And she owns the best preschool and primary school in Ikoyi, Lagos, Nigeria, called La Posh School. Ronke Posh also runs a children entertainment company called Posh Party Parks, so we know where to come to. Ronke Posh is the founder of the Help at Home initiative, which focuses on parenting in the 21st century and the proper recruitment of domestic workers in home in order to prevent risk to families. She's passionate about the subject as a result of being a victim herself after she relocated to Nigeria from the United States Kingdom. Ronke Posh has a keen interest in protecting children who are often the victims of dangerous domestic workers. Ronke Posh is also a parenting practitioner, a certified family life therapist, a practitioner of NLP. She uses this to coach and support parents in their parenting Facebook community called Parents Right. She runs training courses online and offline, and she's also a public speaker. Ronke Posh has been featured on many platforms such as NTA, TVC, Guardian newspaper, National newspaper, and several blogs. And I would add us to it, Finding Purpose with Seyi. She's also the author of the best-selling book for kids, Right Kids 101, and the newly published book, 101 Tips to Curb the Beating and Shouting. So that's a lot. And I was looking at her like, how does she do all this? That's so amazing, for people just meeting you, and even for me reading through, all that you do. And so I'm just going to allow you just tell us a bit about yourself, apart from what I've read, before we go into the questions and all that.
Okay, thank you so much, Seyi. Thanks for having me. It's really an honor to come to be here. I'm really pleased, and thanks to the audience as well. So what is it that is not in my bio? I'm very passionate about women, women being empowered. I feel women have been cheated a lot in life, and they have been cheated a lot in life. I've recently read a book by Okonjo-Iweala, who was recently nominated to lead the WTO, and she collaborated with some female leaders around the world. And when I finished reading the book, I was telling a friend that last night that I was sad, because the harassments, the abuse, the unfairness. So it's something that I talk about a lot as well. And I know that even if it doesn't become what I want it to be in my lifetime, it will be significantly better than what is being served at the moment. So that's one thing about me. Another thing that's not on my bio there, I love eating. I enjoy eating. I love food. When I'm angry, I eat. When I'm happy, anything. So some people when they're angry, they're not eating anything. No, just bring the food. That's me. I'm eating. Then I'm a little bit of a fashionista. I love to dress up. I love going shopping and looking good and just looking after myself. I'm very, very into myself, by the way.
Wow, I like that, and you've mentioned two things that is quite good. That was a wonderful book that you just mentioned there. For those that have not read it, go on and get it.
Right.
Yeah. And the other one that you just mentioned also was one that I picked from one of your Instagram live the other day, I think during this week, when you said, should we always constantly be asking for permission to do things? When you said that, I was like, that's true. We constantly as women, keep asking for permission. Should we do that? Should we do that? And it's so, so important that you let yourself loose, you let yourself fulfill purpose. That's what we call our show, Finding Purpose. Whatever you've been through in life, make sure you give yourself the permission. And I like what she said. She likes feeling good and, enjoying the good things of life. So if you're listening to us and you're still waiting for permission and you're still wondering, are you capable of doing all that God has put in your end? Both of us are saying to you today, go ahead and be the best that you can ever be. You don't need anybody's permission as long as you're not hurting humanity like somebody just put down there. Thank you so much. So just going straight into the question, one of the things, that you've said, and I want to start from there, where you said that you've been a victim yourself. So before you relocated to Nigeria, can you share a bit about that before we go into the questions for today? Because some people might want to know that, why is she passionate about that? Why is she in this space and all that? And they might just want to know. So if you mind just share us, if you don't mind, you just share some bit about that before we go into the questions. Oh, I think we've lost her. I think it's the internet. Thank you, everybody that is joining us today. Oh, we can't see Ronke again. Yeah, I think it's the internet. But as we know, it's the world that we are in today. So we will make it happen. Whether the internet likes it or not, we still make it happen. That's absolutely fine. So I don't know whether the last question, what I said.
Sorry, I didn't hear. I got kicked out. I'm not sure what happened. I have actually gone to another device now, thinking, hello, what happened? Everything seems all right. You just kicked me out.
Okay, so the question I ask, as in before we start, because somebody watching us may feel like, oh, why is she passionate about this? And in part of your bio, and part of your stories, you've been a victim yourself, you know. And I was asking if you want to share a bit about that, about why you're keen about protecting children and also keen about parenting and all that. So if you want to share a bit of your story before we go into part of the
Okay,
interview.
no problem. Thank you very much for that. Okay, on the 1st of April 2012, my husband and I were lying in bed and we had guests in the middle of the night. And obviously, it wasn't guests that we invited, they were armed robbers. And they came in, they attacked. So it's a very long story, but I'll jump straight from April to June. He had been beaten, he had been attacked, and he was hemorrhaging internally. So as time went on, he kind of like lost his memory, lost function in many parts, in one part of his body, essentially. He couldn't even recognize his daughter. It was that bad. And many things happened. We traveled to get him sorted out, But in relation to this, when that happened, I realized something. I knew, but sometimes when some things happen, it really, really seals the deal for you. And whilst he was away for more than a year. Just a little under 18 months. Whilst he was away, I thought to myself, if I wasn't working, what would have happened if I was always like, oh, give me money for soup, give me money for this, give me money for that? Because at this point now, everything had to move on. School fees had to be paid. Everything had to continue. So I started to think, women. And I couldn't sleep for another year after that. I could hardly sleep. 2-3 hours, I would get up because I'll be panicked. I'll be worried that they may come back. I was living in fear. So I thought about that. I thought about my daughter. When that happened, she's very energetic and she slept through the whole thing. However, I thought, what if she woke up and saw them? Do you understand me? Now, another thing is that I work with parents and I work in a school. I run a school in Parkview Estate, Ikoyi. And I see the number of house helps that children have sometimes. And I'm not exaggerating. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 house helps in the space of a year. It's not working out. It's not working out. Mommy is angry. That person has gone. We're constantly verifying, changing identity card, calling to say, oh, somebody came to pick your child. Is this, And I looked around, and because I hadn't lived in Lagos as well as an adult, I lived in Kaduna before I left for the UK. When I came back, I realized that even in my daughter's school, it seemed fashionable for children to have like multiple domestic workers, house girl, nanny, this, driver, that, each child house. It didn't make any sense. I was thinking of crazy people. I came to Nigeria thinking that, oh yeah, we'll get a Nigerian training. And I just came here and I realized that it's even worse here. Now, all these people that surround your children have come with different set of values. They've come with different beliefs, different thought patterns, different thought processes. And they influence your children, they abuse your children, and then you come and lament on social media. Now, even if you lament on social media, even if they kill the person, like people say, rapists should be castrated. Oh yeah, we hear it. Even if they do, does it erase the abuse that child has suffered? Because it can take a lifetime that's to heal from abuse, and that is even if the person even heals from abuse. It affects different parts of a child. So I'm so that got me very particular. I started to do a lot of study, then a journey of self-discovery also that I underwent, and I realized that, you know what? Children oftentimes are victims. Women, oftentimes, they are victims. Should it be that way? No. Those children didn't ask to be born. Women, because we are women, you should be cheated. But just before I was kicked out by StreamYard or whatever kicked me out, maybe the Wi-Fi or whatever the case may be, I was saying that when I had a mohawk, for about 3 years. It was an accidental hairstyle. And a lot of people, you say, oh, wow, you're so brave. It looks so good on you. I wish my husband will allow me. My husband will never allow me. And I used to think to myself, sorry. That's why I wanted to use my iPad. I didn't want any calls to come in, but then they kicked me out of my Wi-Fi, so I have to use my phone. And so people will ask me, now, your husband allowed you, and I used to think it was not even a discussion, because my husband will go out, he will do his own thing, I'll do my own thing. When I come in, he said, oh wow, look at your hair, you cut your hair again, it looks nice. It was not, to me then, it wasn't anything, because it was just hair. Like, I want to braid this hair, I just braid my hair. You like it, you don't like it. And you know, it's not an issue, it's a non-issue. As in, not even a topic for discussion. It's irrelevant. You know what I mean? But I realized that it's actually what might have been irrelevant in my home, but it wasn't. A lot of women were struggling to express themselves or be themselves because someone hasn't allowed them to be themselves.
Yeah.
I don't have a perfect marriage. I always say it online. I don't talk about marriage. I'm a certified marriage counselor, a certified therapist. I have the training, I have the certification, but I don't touch marriage issues with a 10-foot pole. I don't, because I just don't get it. I don't get it. Because even people that you look at, Bill Gates and Melinda of recent now, the whole thing doesn't make sense. So that is part of the reason why I'm passionate about it. I believe that there's a lot of stigma. The culture that we go through in Nigeria is another thing that sabotages us because of culture. So speak to your husband, or religion that we don't understand. A lot of women can't do things. They can't express themselves. They can't even earn a certain amount of money. They face a glass ceiling, or they face the wrath of the husband, albeit they are working towards the economy of the family. So all those random things, I just said to myself, and then you must be married by a certain age. You must have children. You must. So why are we living under such burden? And these are some of the things that I talk about, because I just feel really it's not that hard. It's not that deep. We just really, how long do we have on earth? Enjoy life and let's just move on. Wow. No, not in our side of the world. No.
But I like what you've said, because, when you said that most often the children are always the victim, like here now, very few people, I've used a couple of au pairs, with my children, but if I want to talk about that, I can talk about that for a whole day with the different kind of experiences that I've had. And I know what that means, in terms of having strange people, different strange people. They come, they use 6 months, they go, you don't know the impact on that on your children. And that, before you know, that's eventually, if you do know, it's too late. Then there's also the issue that, you don't have the house help and the au pairs, like we call them here, but you've left them to the care of social media, of strange people that you don't know. And eventually at the end of it is going to be the children that would be, and also it's also the children, and I know we're going to be going there. The children are also victim of our upbringing, our culture, how, a lot of things that we have not settled as our insecurity, low self-esteem that we are bringing on to the children. They are all victim. And if you are watching us, for those watching, those are the things that we'll be talking about today, especially for us within the BME ethnic minority group. How do we handle things like that? There are real issues, and how do we handle it? Wow. Thank you for that. So I'm just going to quickly go into more of the questions. There are so many definitions and descriptions of parenting, just like you have said in recent years about parenting. How would you, can you help us define what parenting really is to you? Because you're also passionate about that.
For me, parenting is not conventional. For me, parenting is whoever the primary caregiver is. For me, it doesn't have to be the biological parent, because you find that a number of people do a better job, a significantly better job than the parents. So whoever the primary caregiver or givers are for a child, that will care for the child, spirit, soul, and body, food, clothing, shelter, education, and they will give their all to this child to make sure that this child comes out whole and total, unscathed as much as possible. It's not a case of, God will look after the child. It's a case of a parent or a caregiver. I'm very particular about saying caregiver, because you find that even some teachers are caregivers to children. In Nigeria, I've had teachers coming to school with breakfast to give certain children because they send them to school without food. So I'm very particular about using that word caregiver, because a lot of people have not taken up that responsibility. So parenting is that journey that you go through with that child until adulthood. Some people say it's the journey that you take with the child until the child is 18, which is a legal age when they're an adult. I'm over 40 years old, and my parents are very integral and very functional in my life. I just believe the role changes from from parent to mentor. Do you understand what I mean? They may not be saying, "Have you eaten your breakfast?" Even though my mom still says that sometimes. But yeah, they are. That's what I would define by the child parenting.
Wow, wow, wow. And that's quite profound because you've added that caregiver. Because some parents, and as we've seen over the years, the kids have been taken away from them, though there are different circumstances surrounding them, because they have not able to provide the kind of care that you have mentioned, and we have seen people, I was watching a documentary, and it's on Netflix, about this particular couple that adopted special needs children, a children that they actually told them that would not survive, would never walk, and they actually trained up these children, I think about 10 or 6 of them,
Yep.
to a particular place that they became, successful children. And for me, that's beyond what I can think about, So I like the care, that aspect of being a caregiver and fulfilling your role as a parent, that you mentioned. So people talk a lot about how we were brought up compared to how we should be parenting in this time and this age. What is your stand on this, and how would you advise parents in today's time and age? And I think I'm also in that. I will need that answer in that area also.
How we were brought up versus how we are bringing up children. I believe that our parents did the best with the information that they had, with the resources that they had. They did the best. Now, we have access to more information. As a result, we should do better. Intentional parenting was not a buzzword in the time of our parents. No. All this, you gotta be intentional, this kind of parenting, all the different types of parenting that have come. No. A lot of them, their priority was, especially the African parents, was to give you food to eat. You have a few clothes, even the clothes are not a priority as long as you're not naked. There's a roof over your head, they're not living on the road. And then you go to school. A lot of them focused on education, your grades, doing well, becoming the engineer, becoming the lawyer. They wanted that a lot. Now, for some parents are still that way, but it's more, what we recommend now is more of a bond, a connection, a close bond. Because previously, you find that a lot of people feel obligated to their parents. Even their parents will say, "We've looked after you, it's your turn to look after us." But I know that it's lovely. I would love my child to look after me when I'm older. But she's not mandated to. It's not compulsory. And I know that it's not a popular message, but it's not your child's role to grow up to look after you. Ideally, we should be leaving an inheritance for our children and our children's children. Yes, if they're so grateful to us and they love us and we've done a good job, we can thank them. We can hang around with them, with the grandkids, spend time with them, take them for trips to the hospital, for their hospital appointments and stuff, because there's a close relationship. But you find that some parents will be harassing, the children don't have peace. They're like, the parents are asking for money. After all I did for you, after all I did, they didn't ask you to give birth to them. They didn't. So you find that they feel obligated, like if it's by force. But it shouldn't be. It should be seamless. It should be because they want to, they desire to, not because of what people will say. Now, it should be more intentional. It's not about food, clothing, shelter, and all this sort of thing. It's about protecting you in spirit, soul, and body, ensuring that you grow up whole, especially that you have a relationship with your creator, if you're one that has a belief in that, ensuring that you're emotionally sound. But how does a parent that is not emotionally sound raise a child that is emotionally sound? So ensuring that mentally, spiritually, in terms of education and all aspects of that child, even health and fitness, you find that a lot of parents cheat, a lot of parents bribe their children and give them chocolates and give them money and access to so many things because they are absent. They need to be present. Many parents were not present. Many are still not present with their children. So they kind of like feel the void. by giving them things that they should not necessarily have. Children don't have to have everything.
Wow. Wow.
And that's the difference.
But how do we marry it? Because I don't know whether you've seen it. As parents, you want your children, to be prim and proper, or rather, maybe that's not the word. You want them to be well trained. You want them to be disciplined. You want to come into a place and you want your child to stand up and greet everybody, or dobale the way used to do it. Show that respect. And you're seeing that some of these things we are losing them in court, and people give they give the side look, they give that, that impression that, oh, that child is not well trained, and you see a lot of that, maybe because we are being raised, from another generation. You see a lot of that at the moment. So how do we create a balance? Because sometimes, you said be kind, be a mentor to the child, do that loving, but you're doing all that, but at the same time, you're like, what should we do? Are we just going to be looking at, especially being in this part of the world, that you can't do those physical things that we are used to? So how do we bring up our children? Because it's also part of the pain that parents go through, because they want their children to be the best. And the children also, they want their parent to be the best. So how do we marry that balance between where we are coming from and what we want our children to be?
Good. So I even like that you say that you how people bring up their children in the UK. And that's one of the things that I do. I mean, even this weekend, they're talking about family values. Children need to buy into the values of the family. And that value is not a document. Because you see, some people, they would even put value in front of their house. Family values, they'll post it on Instagram. These are our family values. Now, schools do it. Organizations put up family values everywhere. Does it mean that they live by those values? Your values are not necessarily what you put on paper. It's a living, breathing human being that is practicing that act of leadership or integrity. Those things that you've put down. Now, you want your child to be honest. You want your child to be respectful. Are you honest? Are you respectful? What is happening in your home? So you'll find that even many homes, you'll find that husband and wife, they're constantly fighting, doing all sorts of things. And then they'll say, oh, I want my child to be this, I want my child to... They are watching you. And what they see is more powerful than what you say. Now, even having all those tiffs and all those fights with your husband or your wife or whatever, your children see it. Some people say, I'm staying in the marriage because of my children. You're staying in a toxic relationship because of your children, but they are not learning the right things. They know when you say to somebody on the phone, oh, I'm almost there, I'm 5 minutes away, and you're still in the house. They know. They see all these things. So there's no point saying that you want this, you want that. What has historically happened and continues to happen is that control has been the way that many people discipline their children. They want control. They want to hit them. They want to shout at them so that they can get the immediate response. They want it to be automatic, and that is why we choose all those things, and they jail a lot of Nigerians, or they take their children off them, or they send them. The parents really send them back to Nigeria because they can't go there and be beating their children and get away with it. What you need is that emotional connection. And now a lot of parents will say they don't have time. They have to put food on the table. You have to put food on the table. You don't have time, but because of society and religion, you have 12 children. Does it make any sense? You want people to say you have a lot of children. Yes, you have a lot of children. Bravo. But you don't have time for those children. You can't connect with those children. You're constantly on the road trying to make ends meet. And then you want your children to grow up sound, and you're not there. 112 house girls and nannies are looking after your children. What is the missing element is that parent being present. How can you be a parent that is present? I'm not saying you should breathe around the child, or everywhere the child goes, you are like all over. I certainly don't do that. A child needs to have their own independence and their own space. However, you must be present in the life of the child to see what the child is doing. Even the friends that your children have, you should be involved in it. Not to choose it or control, but to guide the child and to show the child the red flags that the child would see. Now, my daughter recently wrote a book, and I said to her, this book that you're going to write, I can guarantee you, I'm not being negative, because I speak to her like an adult. I said to her, I can guarantee you, you're going to lose friends because of this book. I need you to know that this journey that you're going through is a journey of growth. This is going to happen, that's going to happen, that's going to happen. As you get more exposure, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Because I've done it. I think that's write the book and go and do anything you want. Lo and behold, all these things, she met them. Oh, and she said, oh, mom, you said, oh, mom, this is what you said. Oh, this is what you said. Now, if I'm not present, how will I guide her through that journey?
Yeah.
Now, recently, I saw there was a child that hit another child. Went out and we saw they were twins, and one of the twins hit another child. Then the twin hits the twin. So anyway, it just became one small little mini fight among the three of them. And I said to the mom, I said, do you know that your children, as far as I know, they are 3 years old. They don't move from between school and home and church, and they've been doing online church. They don't move away from those environments. I know the school they go to. Beating is not part of it. Those children learn that beating from you.
Wow.
Those children learn. Okay, tell me where they learned it from. She couldn't say it. Children, you will think what you are doing, they are not seeing it. The reason why a lot of people believe that they must beat children, and I wrote a whole book about it, is because they don't have alternatives. They don't know alternatives. And the typical parent is too lazy to look for an alternative approach. And that's why they will come on social media and say, anybody that knows smack their children, is that one a parent? You know, they will even argue. They will be like, oh, that is why your children turned out this way. And as much as possible, I'm quite a balanced individual. I didn't grow up in an environment where I was hit. My father has never beaten me before. If my mother has beaten me before, I can't recollect if she actually did hit me. But me, I was always a goody two shoes. I have always been a goody. I think I became more of a rebel as I grew older. So I can't. Beating and shouting has never been my game. Even at my 40th birthday, my mother even still said that I liked my own space. Are we respecting what the children want, their own boundaries? Or we're just doing what we think they should be doing because we're giving them food, clothing, and shelter? We are custodians. God has just given those children to us to pass through and go and establish and do their own thing. We want to take ownership. We think we own these children, and that is a mistake. I say it all the time also that some people have just one child. One. And I will use this term. That child is too many, even though it's one. Too much for them. They can't handle it. You can't even understand your own self. You want to have 3, 4 children and do what with them. And then you are bragging. You have to, when people put congratulations message on social media, I will congratulate them. But that is not the real congratulations. The real congratulations is what happens when that child is growing up. That you protected that child from abuse. You protect that child, you're giving the child a sound education, creativity, giving them skills that they would need in life. And that child lands at age 18, that child can stand on their own feet. That is when you've done a good job. Congratulations, oh, you gave birth. Even cows give birth, goats give birth, monkeys give birth. Well, what's the big deal about anybody giving birth? That's what I said to people. Giving birth is not a big deal. You can adopt. I'll tell people say, oh, you need to have one monkey. If I want monkey, I will adopt because I'm not even I'm not the one for the 9 months pregnancy. It's just not me. And I'm not afraid to say it because culture will want people to do things. Oh, you must have. I've not gone to go and look for IVF or anything. I don't want. This one is okay. Do you see what I mean? You know, because I'm not going to do what society expects me to do. I'm not. Whether the in-laws are shouting, whether they're not shouting, as long as my husband is happy and I'm happy, and that is it. Do you know what I'm saying? So now that we know how many children we have, what are we going to do to make sure that that child is the finest? Do you understand the perceptual code of that child? Do you understand what makes that child unique? Or you just wake up every day, it's business as usual. Have you eaten? Did you make your bed? Did you do this? Some people, even the way they wake up their children, when it's time for school, wake up. How do you wake up your child in the mornings? When I announced on Facebook once the way I wake up my child in the morning, people are saying, no, I wake her up with her favorite current song. That is how I wake her up. I don't go and say, oh, wake up. No, I put on music. She wakes up with music every single day. She wakes up and falls into the presence of God every single day. I lay hands on her every single night and morning. Ask her. I pray for her. She can't leave my presence without me pleading the blood of Jesus. Now, you may not be a Christian, but there must be something that you're doing. You can't just have a child. You are accountable to God to that for that child. Now, if you are the mother of Jesus or the father of Jesus, is that how you will be beating him? When Jesus was missing for 3 days and the parents didn't find him for 3 days, if you were that parent, will you not have beaten? Where have you been for the last 3 days? We've been looking for you. Go, where? You'll be beating the child. But there's no record that the parents were looking. No, he went about his father's business. There's no record that the parents were beating him and abusing him. And people will quote to you from the Bible that, oh, spare the rod and spare the child. But if you research it, it's a rod of correction, a rod of love and discipline, a rod of miracles. The same rod that Moses used to do miracles, split the Red Sea. Now, if you believe that you must hit your child and beat your child, then you must also believe the book of Deuteronomy, which also says that a disobedient child should be stoned to death. Yes. So when your child does something that is disobedient, go and carry stones, call everybody in the community and begin to stone that child to death. Because we pick and choose based on our laziness. We choose what we like. So we like, oh, the foolishness is bound in the heart of the child. The rod of correction, the rod of love, the rod of discipline will correct that child. It's not a physical stick. No, it isn't a physical stick. And that is what you use to raise your child.
It's not a wooden spoon or a belt.
It's not a wooden spoon. The thing is that even if you use the wooden spoon or the slippers, in all honesty, if you do that, I'm not going to chop your head off. What I'm going to tell you is that try not to use a wooden spoon or slipper so that you don't get angry and use the belt or whatever the case may be. Because when you start little by little, you build on it. You say, oh, this one doesn't hurt the child anymore. Then you look for the next koboko or the next campaign you're going to use for the child. No, you must ensure that you are connecting with the child. And then there's some behaviors that are typical of children. A 2-year-old, 3-year-old goes to your friend's house and starts playing with their things. And then they start saying, you didn't train this your child. Then you are under pressure. You start beating the child. Sit down, sit down. We're talking about mental health this week. That parent is the one that has the mental health challenge, not the child. The child is exhibiting a behavior that is typical of a 2 or 3-year-old, which is a child in a curious phase that is exploring, that is touching things and fiddling with things. And then you are beating the child. What happened? That is what they should be doing. It's expected behavior. But because you want to impress your friends and you want people to say you trained your child well, you beat the child. Who has a problem? It's the parent that has the mental problem. If you know that your child will be roaming about because the child is 2, then keep the child somewhere, keep the child at home. Or when you get the child, let my child play. Wow. Don't expect a child to go to somebody's house, pick up the Forbes and start reading at age 2 or 3. It's not expected behavior.
Wow. So, I like what you said there, and initially when you made that story of that twins beaten, and children, even adults, as we are now, we are a product of modeling of what we have seen, and just the way you said it just gave me a clip that if they hadn't seen their parents beat, they won't do it, because where did they learn it from? And where did they learn it from? Exactly, where did they learn it from? And when you said that, I was like, wow, that's true. And parenting now is so different. And you also said, I like the fact that you said the way you wake up your daughter, every morning, some people shout, some people scream and say, wake up, it's time. Some people shake.
I mean, that school run in the mornings is a common time where parents and children, they battle in the morning because the child probably hasn't slept enough, didn't sleep on time, doesn't want to get up in time, parents wants to get to work on time, hasn't packed the lunch in time. So you're trying to do so much in such a little time. The school bus is coming. You have to go. I will be late for work. Then you start hitting the child. Hurry up. Everybody. The whole house is like, all sorts is happening. However, if you had organized yourself, put the child to bed by 8:30, make sure that the lunch was packed, uniform is out, you yourself, you're already organized, alarm has been set up. Someone like me, my alarm doesn't go off and I will just get up. No, I have to be cajoling myself. So when that 5:30, if I'm 5:15, 5:30, before I eventually get up, that is me. So plan, know how you wake up in the morning so that you don't now wake up the child forcefully. Get up, it's time to go, go, go. You have to talk. Get up, it's time to go to school. Now, those noises that you're giving that child, even the Bible says that you should not go into a visitor's house with noise. You shouldn't go into, I can't come and visit you in your house and then I go, hey, Seyi, what's up? I mean, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Hey, Seyi, at 5 a.m. in the morning, you don't be hearing me. Oh, yeah, what's up? What's up? Seyi, come out. Let's go. How would you feel at 5 a.m. in the UK again? How would you feel about that? It makes no sense. But that is how we wake up our children in the morning. Get up, it's time for school. Get up. Then we start flashing. Then we forget that when they get to school, these children are now moody. Many of them. The teacher now has to be the one saying, what's the matter? The preschoolers give them a hug, and now we can't even hug. COVID has even changed things again. So how are you doing? You're trying to make sure that the child is okay to learn, because learning is state dependent. A child that the parent has even beaten them in the car, smacked them, the left foot of the shoe is on the right foot or on the head. The child is a mess. And then you say the child is not doing well in their grades. The child is not doing well in their grades when you are the one constantly affecting the mental health of this child. A failing child sometimes is the fault of the parent. Number one, too much pressure, you must pass. Then you don't even bring them up well. Shouting all the time, condemning them, comparing them. I did this, you did that. See, your brother has opened up since. This, that, your mates are in school. Mental health of the child. Those things, we ignore it.
Wow.
My daughter goes to school buzzing. I don't latch on her. I pray for her. I affirm her. Go in the strength and the knowledge of the Lord. Go well. You are strong. You have a good day. Have a beautiful day. Go and lead. Go and change your world. Go and shine. Depending on what the day is or what is happening. If she wants to, maybe she's having a debate or they're going somewhere, you will say something, affirm her in line with what is happening that day. Then how would you go to school and be moody? That won't happen.
Wow.
That won't happen. Sometimes I will say, it's because you're going to school now, but I'm not happy about what you did. When you come back, we'll talk about it. I won't start shouting there. Do you understand what I mean? Or I will not even say anything. When you come back on school, I say, I really wish you had X, Y, and Z. There's timing so that you don't send the child out of the home. And then you find out if anything even happens to that child, how would you feel? Knowing that the last thing you did with that child was to shout. I live like that. I don't believe that I'm going to be here forever. I don't want to live long, but if anything happens, I must leave my child knowing that she will be saying the last thing my mother sent to me was, I love you.
Wow.
She's not going to say the last thing my mother did was shout. And be feeling guilty for her, like, if only I wear my socks on time, my mother will not have that. You know what I mean? We must be very sensitive about those things that we are doing with and to our children.
Wow, that's good. That's amazing, because a lot of us, like I said earlier, we're products of our environment, and we're still going to touch on that, and we have not prepared to change, from where we came from in time. And I'm not talking about location. I'm talking about a lot of us have not seen, like you said, you have not been beaten. Some people have not seen a home. They are not from a home that they weren't beaten, they weren't shouted at or anything. They have never seen their parents in the morning hug themselves. So how would they come up with that? They have never seen their father or their, a lot of things happen, that they have never seen. And like you said, it's all about being intentional. Because I went through that doesn't mean I have to give that, but it's so unfortunate, and we're still going to touch on that, because a lot of us are not ready to do, you've mentioned it, are not ready to do all that is needed to transition from where we are coming from, not location, in terms of our mind, our experience, to understand that, okay, like you said, if you had the revelation that that Mary had, I'm going to give you a child. It's going to be the savior of the world, which is the children that God has given us. How would you treat that child? How would you treat that child? And quickly, I just wanted to just also just to list some things and just undo them. What are the mental health issues that we need to look out for in terms of the children? And what are the mental health issues we need to look at, or that we currently see even as a parent? Do you get the question? So as a child, I've got a teenager, and it's so funny because he wanted to go out, and I said, can I know some of these friends that you're going out with? and he was listing their name. And my next question to him is, what does their parents do? And I was like, Mom, we don't ask each other what their parents do. I'm like, and it became an argument. Like, no, I need to know what they do. And we had to get somebody to intervene. He said, at their age, they don't discuss the way we
There is not a topic of discussion. If you want to know what their parents do, then you need to get in touch with their parents.
Exactly.
You need to hang out wherever they're hanging out, maybe at the PTA or
and
something.
it was like, oh God, mommies, you're not thinking the way I'm thinking, So what are those mental health issues? Because it's a big one in terms of a preteen and a teenager, that we need to look out for, and how do we help them? And what are also the mental health as a parent that are going on at the moment that also needs to be addressed?
Okay, so I will talk about it from what I do, which is just working with children and working with parents, not from a perspective of a mental health expert. So I want to be very cautious of that. So one thing that is very common and I like to talk about is depression in children. Depression. So a lot of children, they begin to exhibit different kinds of signs of depression. I might have to move in a minute, but just here, just a little bit, because my device is running out of power. But hopefully I'll be able to get my daughter. So anyway, depression is something I want to talk about, because children go through a lot of things and parents assume that they don't. What are they worrying about? They don't have to worry about the food they are eating or the clothes or buying or paying rent. We are the ones worrying about it. What are they going through? But a lot of children are going through a lot of bullying, cyberbullying. A lot of them have been caught up in a web of sexting. A lot of them are depressed. A lot of them are overweight. A lot of them are worried about their appearance, their looks. They don't have friends. They are bullies. They know all sorts of things that these children go. Do you know what they go through? And then, because you can't relate and you cannot connect with those children, they often isolate and stay in a shell. And then you say, oh, this child is what's it called? These teenagers, they're always hiding in their rooms. They're always this, they're always that, because you don't get it. Your child is going through something, you don't get it. You don't understand. You're not relatable, because you're quick to judge. You're quick to say you were also a teenager at some point. It didn't happen to you. And then you are disconnected from the child. And then some things that we do as parents, we think it's cool. Say, for example, when it comes to technology, we're so behind when it comes to technology. We have no clue even how to update WhatsApp. We have no clue how to back up our files. We have no clue. It's always these children, all the time. We don't want to learn. And then we live we have a multiple personality as a parent. So you are the parent that wakes up the child shouting in the morning, get up, go to school. You're not okay. You're comparing them. You're beating them. You're that parent that does that. And then you take them to school. They bring their report card home. You judge them, and then you go on social media. You post pictures and you tell them, "Oh, I love my child so much." The child is getting different. Like, which one? They don't know if you're coming or going. But is this Musa? Is this Obinna? Is this Labake? What is going on right here? You are the same parent that is talking like me, that you are embarrassed and I'm a billy goat, and you are still the same parents going on Facebook, posting my picture and saying how much you love. Which one? Which way? They read the cues, they read the signs, they see it. So we must arise as parents. We really, really must arise. We can't just be doing anything. So you find out when they see that we are doing all this fake life thing, they go, that's why they keep labeling them African parents this, African parents that, because they don't find the typical African parents relatable. They don't. They're in a world of their own. They want to choose your career. They want to choose your friends. They want to choose the food that you eat, the clothes that you wear. The typical African parent wants to control a child. Why would you want to control what they are doing? You should model. So when it comes to dressing up, for example, you will not find my daughter going out in bomb shorts. There's no rule about bomb shorts in this house. There's no rule. But she won't wear it because there's an unwritten rule about bomb shorts. If you see what I mean. I'm not saying, don't wear bomb shorts, and all those parents are always saying to children that something is a sin. The minute you say that is a sin, you've lost them. That means you yourself, you don't have any good reason besides the fact that the Bible says it. If you say you don't like something, let the child understand why, besides So let the Bible be in addition. Do you know what I'm saying? You'll be saying Melchizedek. What does the child want to do with Melchizedek? Well, I mean, in this day, the children will be able to relate. You can't tell them to wear bombshell. I don't tell them the reason why. What is morality? What are your values? So for those people that need to understand values, sign up for the class on Saturday. It's when it's happening. We need to understand values. We need to understand that it's a living being, that the children are not doing it for you. They're doing it because it is now who they have become. They get it. They understand it. They don't love God for you. They don't love God to give you peace. Parents will be saying they're looking for obedient child. I don't want an obedient child. I say it anywhere. My child is not obedient, and I don't want an obedient child. An obedient child is the one that the pedophile will tell them, open your leg and let me have sex with you. Let me put my hand in your bum bum. Because the child is obedient. And mommy says, when an adult tells you something, you must do it. The child will do it now. Shebi mommy has already said anything that adult. So the child is obedient. I want a non-conformist. I want a child that questions and say, excuse, why? Are you normal? You know that kind of thing. A child, that is what I'm looking for. So do we pray on our prayer? I want a godly husband. You want a godly husband? No, you want a husband you can control. You are afraid of a child or husband that will not have affair. No. So find the one that has the values. Stop using scripture to be saying rubbish, to be saying you want obedient child, to be want your child to be praying. You know, your child is in church or at home, and your child is not raising holy hands and shouting, and then you're complaining that the child is not praising God the way the child is not into God. No. Relationship with God is unique and personal. The Bible says those that worship God worship him in spirit and in truth. So the way that your child will relate with God, it doesn't have to be the way they do it in your church. Who taught them in the church anyway? Who said it? That's how? That's their own way. Your child has, it's a journey of discovery, but we want to force religion on our children because we want to control them. And that is why the minute anybody speaks up, people like us, when we speak up like this, they say, hey, that's why she's now. She's always talking, she's always, because control is a problem for the typical African parents.
Yeah, I think it's two ways. You know, I like one of the things that I tell my child and those around me is I use, even though I have my values, you know, as I have those values up there with me, you know, but I use the, you know, and more two ways I put it out to them. So I have values growing up, which has held, you know, has stayed with me over the years, you know, but my foundational values is from the Word of God, which is based on my relationship with God. And those two things, you know, you've mentioned part of it, those two things are key. If I don't have that relationship, and I understand, so sometimes when I'm reading the Bible, I'm like, from this, the Bible, from what the Bible has said, that's the foundation. And I can understand that foundation because of the relationship that I have in my own private time with God, in my own explanation, you know, finding with God. For you to be able to have that kind of relationship, and God will, you know, we're discussing something yesterday, and I said, the Bible says that my sheep hears my voice. So if I call you and if I call you and I say, oh, I call my child, you know my voice. And for every child, for everybody, even as a parent, you must be able to know that voice, that God voice to you, the voice of the Holy Spirit, which comes from relationship, which comes from intentionality, which comes from that basis that the child that you are training today, the child that you think, oh God, why did you give me this kind of a child? It's just because you have not gotten the manuscript from the relationship to know how do I need to handle this child? What is the strategy? What do I need to go about with this strategy? And like you said, also, I'm also a certified mental health person also. But the fact is that sometimes we burden ourselves on things that is not necessary because we are not ready to. Yeah, we're not ready to pay the price, and we are not ready, you know, to also find knowledge, improve ourselves, you know. And I think that you've said two things. An average African person has a problem with control because our society and our upbringing is based on where we are from in terms of when an adult said this, you know, he has to, that's the way a lot of us have not seen it otherwise. But where it comes from is how you retrain yourself, You get knowledge, to be able to get it, to be able to be the best of the best, that you be. And I also, in terms of mental health as a parent, and I'm just going to mention a few bits, and you help from your parent, because I'm sure that you see some of them in your school. That a lot of all these parents that are having all these mental health issues. You've mentioned depression.
Yes.
There's so many of them. How
Mhm.
do you cope with them, or how do you signpost them to the right strategies that they can use to help themselves, looking at, taking into consideration the parents, that you work with. How do you signpost them to be, because you can pick them. If I can see a child that is going through some mental health issues, I can pick some, but most often we can't even pick them because some of them are hidden. And some parents that are also going through mental health issues, some of them are already, they're on drugs and all that, but some are not even on drugs, and they're not medicated with it, about what they're going through, but you don't know. So when you see things and you can highlight some of these things, how do you handle them?
Well,
Being a
well,
psychiatrist. Yes,
at
being a
Leopard
psychiatrist.
School,
Yeah,
the oldest child is about 10 plus.
yeah.
10 plus years old. So in that space, you don't tend to have a lot of mental health challenges with the children. A lot of our parents are intentional parents at Leposh School, and a lot of them follow me on Instagram, and they are very intentional about our parents. This Leposh School is not a Gbogbo school. You have to be intentional. It's not a school you can drop your child and house girl will be coming. That is it. We will see you. We will know what's up. So we have a tribe. I say it a lot that everybody's not our customer. We're not
Mm,
looking for everybody. It's not about the money or the numbers, but it's about the caliber of children that come out of Leposh School. I mean, we've had incidents where it has been said that our children, our pupils have gone out maybe to a birthday party and they're playing certain kind of song and they're not dancing to it because they know that we don't dance to such songs at Leposh. The first time I heard that, I was blown away because we didn't teach it. You see, it's not
mm,
a school rule, but it's a value. That the things that our children, our pupils do is very, very important. Even recently, one of the friends just joined, one of the friends from the school just joined now, and she said, and her son said that he went for a common entrance exam and he said he wasn't going to he did well, but he said he wasn't interested in going to the school. The mom had told me, and he said also to me that he was not interested in going to the school because the children there are not well behaved. They were talking about the teachers, the way they were, the way they were behaving. He didn't want to be part of that school. Now I said, values is not what you write on paper. It is what the child is living. So a lot of my parents are intentional. A lot of them have the right kid 101 book. If not every parent, we just reprinted. If anybody does not have, they're probably new parents. They know, they get it. They are intentional. So they see the signs, they know the signs, they understand that parenting is a lifelong journey. It's not a destination that you arrive at. They know that there might be new discoveries tomorrow by different researchers, different psychologists. Something new will come. And
mm,
then they will look at it, they will vet it, and they connect with their children. That
mm,
time that you spend with your children is too important. We all must make a living. However, we all must connect with those children because we were not asked to be born. Now, I had an incident on Facebook a while ago where some frustrated woman came and said, "Oh, I'm putting pressure on parents to do this and that. I'm putting pressure on parents and X, Y, and Z, and this is what gives some parents mental health." Okay, I said I put a post out that children were not asked to be born and parents have to be there for them. Now we understand that there are parents that go through postpartum depression and things like that. They do go through that. Nobody is denying that. However, any quote and every saying, there are no absolutes to it. If you are whole and healthy, you must be there for your child. If you're not mentally able to, then somebody else will take care of the child, even if it's the state. That is the reality of it. There are no absolutes in life. But the general fact still remains that if you have a child, you must be there for the child or you give up the child. That's it. That
wow.
is it. Otherwise, you are not only accountable to that child and the God Himself that gave you that child. You're going to get a lot of trouble for it. You can't just do anything you want. You see, some people will give birth to children, especially abroad, and they will say, "I don't want to see the child. I just take the child and give it to the foster parent or adopt the child or whatever." Or some will make the choice that they don't even want children. And
Mm,
to me, I have more respect for people like that than from people that will join the society and say, I have children, I'm doing mom and me. And I said, what is me? Your child is not supposed to be meaning you. Your child is supposed to be greater than you and achieve a lot more. So you wear one stupid dress and your child wears a matching dress and you're saying me. Why should your child be meaning? Who are you now already? Then you want to make a child less of who you are. I don't think people get this thing. They go see it. Because the Bible says the power in the words that you say. I don't have any beef about wearing the same thing. I've done it with my daughter. But she's not meaning me. She's Dadoluamu, God's child, God's chosen one. He has a purpose for her. It's not to be me, a smaller version of me. No. So we must be conscious because we may not think it through. My daughter tells me, oh, mommy, your own is too deep. We may not be thinking it through, but there's power and there's life in the words that we say. And before you know what's happening, you will actually be treating that child like meaning you. You'll be expecting the child to do certain things like you. You start projecting, expecting that child to mirror what you're doing. That child is not you, and no child is meaning you. So cut that crap. That crap. Intentional parenting is the absolute key. That is when you will know when your child is depressed. When you I spoke to a parent of recent. We had a parent that had a third child, and they're all under the age of 4. One is 4, so they're all under the age of 4. And when the child came back, this child, and she was saying, "Oh, my mommy doesn't like me anymore. It's just my little sister and my brother," or something like that. She said it, and I said to her, this is my next Facebook live, and I'm going to talk about this because this is not the first time I'm saying something like that. Through no choice of hers, she has to look after the babies. They are small babies, so the attention will shift from the 4-year-olds to the younger ones. We get it because she's more independent. But guess what? She's still a baby. She's a baby and she still needs you. So when you divert that time and that child begins to feel undervalued and starts to believe that you have more time for the smaller ones, that is when you begin to sow the seeds of sibling rivalry in your child. Unconsciously, you may be thinking you are doing your best, and you are doing your best, but you must be conscious of it. So I alerted her to the fact that your child has said this one in school. You better wake up and smell the coffee, because this is where sibling rivalry begins. Parents will have children. One will be extremely gorgeous, and one will just be a regular child. And people say, "Oh, she's so pretty. Look at you. Look at your hair. You're so gorgeous. Look at you." And then you'll be looking at the parents. No, when somebody is telling that your child in front of the other one and that one is gorgeous, you'll be saying that one, but can't you see the sister too? Both of them are gorgeous. Otherwise, one starts beginning to look at the other one and say, "Hey, you are the gorgeous one." They've always called you gorgeous all your life. No more. We must pay attention. And to know these things is to connect with the children, is to hear them. Sometimes the voice, even teachers, we tell facilitators, your voice sometimes should not be heard in the classroom. As a parent, sometimes your voice should not be. I read somewhere recently again online, one parent was saying, it is normal for parents to be shouting. It is the part of parenting. That is already a mental health challenge, and it's not a sub. It's a mental health challenge when you believe that you must be shouting at your children. So you will spend 18, 20, 25 years, especially if you have more children, you will spend that journey of your life, 30 years, shouting. Is that the quality life that God has given you? Is that the best that life they're doing with the life that God has given you, to be shouting every day? Don't get me wrong, shouting, you shout. I don't ask my daughter, I'm not a shouter. It's just not my thing. It's just not my thing. I want to be very careful, because I can't remember when I shouted, but maybe I shouted, but I'm not a shouter. Not at her. Anyway, I shouted, it will not have been at her, because it's not what I'm used to. However, it cannot be part of your life. Say your prayer and say, God, add it to your affirmation. Shouting must not be part of my life. Yelling at people must not be part of my life. Condemning my children, comparing my children must not be part. I want a beautiful quality. See, me, when you told me to do my introduction, I told you I'm very into myself. I am. And I'm unapologetic. I don't idolize myself, but I love myself so much. I want to give myself, you see, if I die tomorrow, I don't want to die. And I know that kind of video. When people do it, they'll die soon. But I don't want to die. But if I die, the challenges that people will have, they won't know what to say about me, number one. Because I have lived, I have impacted the lives of people as much as I can with the resources that I have. I have touched people with the more that I have. Then I like myself so much that I live fully. I enjoy every day. I want to enjoy something. Then I take pictures. I create videos. If I die tomorrow, people will not know which pictures to put up. They will say, "This is okay. This video. That will be your problem." You don't even cry because know that every day I've lived it up. I've lived every day up. So instead of me to be living my day up, I will be there crying. Instead of me to live every day up, I'll be there shouting at some children. Those children will still live you. They have their own life. You are risking blood pressure, hypertension. Those are all the health challenges that you are risking, shouting at children. Then you now even risk having it. Upon all that, they may still hate you.
Yeah, I think for me, just to add to what you have said, is to put, if you know that this is part of you, because even me sitting on the opposite side, I'll be a liar if I say I don't shout sometimes. Sometimes I scream. I'm like, why would you, but I make it as a matter of duty, to go back and say, oh, I'm sorry I shouted, but this is why I shouted, oh, okay, next time give me the cue that my voice is going higher than that is supposed to be. So for somebody listening to us and say, oh, you said, but I normally shout, is a gradual thing, to be able to know that, okay, yes, today we are learning today that you can't just be shouting. And I said something in my home. I said, with the same tone that you speak to people outside should be the same tone you speak to the people at home, even a better tone. So if I can't speak to Ronke this way, why should I speak to the other person this way? And if you respect everybody, whether your child, your husband, your wife, your house help, your peer, whatever, if you respect them as a creature of God, as sons and daughters of God, there should be a manner, in which we treat people. And even if you recognize that you are a child and a son of God, or a daughter or a son of God, you find out that even this issue of parenting with stress, parenting a child, you will lift that burden, off your chest, because you find out that even this child that God has given you, you are accountable, but they're not your children. Yes. They are the children of God. And if you hand them over to God, He will be able to help you train them. And even for the children, if you let them know, I'm your parent, I'm accountable. As I'm accountable to you, I'm also accountable to you. So you also have a right to tell me, oh, mommy, I think you should have done this a better way. Mommy, I don't think that's the right approach. Mommy, why don't you do this? To be able to help. And once we understand that, we can also go back to our children to be able to help them cope with their mental health.
You have to be, your tank has to be full as a parent.
Exactly. I'm looking at the time, so I'm just looking at. So I think one of the other questions I wanted to answer very shortly is, a lot of things is going on in the world, and I in my head, I just keep wondering, why can't some of these children just walk up to their parents and just tell them, a child that is being raped, why do they have to wait 10, 8 years or 20 years to reveal? A child, I was listening to the news yesterday and they were talking about a child that they found a diary, and she was writing all the mental health, oh, they don't like me in school, and she was writing in an old diary full of a diary. Why can't children like that, or what do we need to do, just shortly, if you can answer that, to get children to speak out and to get also parents to speak out, to be able to express what they are going through? Yeah.
You see, when this rape thing, it's always been there, but when social media also brought this issue out a lot for people, what I do is I put myself in the situation that, what if I'm raped? It
doesn't even have to be rape. It can be maybe
or abused, or if I'm going through any challenge,
or something they're going through, or feeling I'm not good enough. Yeah.
Did I even tell my own mom about certain things when I was growing up? No, I didn't. And I look at my daughter today and I say, God forbid she's raped or she's going through something in class. I said if she forgot or she thinks it's not a big deal, I don't think she will not tell me, because we have an ongoing communication. The trust is there. She carries me along with the challenges that is going on in her life. I don't judge her. Even sometimes I find it so difficult, because sometimes I'm thinking I'm the parent coach here, and she was
I think that you can. Yeah.
And she didn't want to let go. She was just going on about it. And I was saying, you need to let go of this issue. Like if she has to switch off a light switch and then the problem will go away. But I tried to get her to release it. But I saw that she couldn't. So I looked for alternative strategies for her to release it. I didn't get angry. Ordinarily, this, you can't even leave it, Joe. Are you the only one going through it in your class? Are you the only one? Are you the only teenager? Which is something that a lot of parents do. Children go through things. They are emotional beings. The way one handles something is not the way another one will handle it. I can remember my daughter when she was in primary school, she used to say, you're so emotional because if something happens, you will cry. When you're in secondary school, it's worse there. It's worse there. Da, 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 da. And that was that teacher's approach. But it wasn't working. But guess what? When she got to secondary school, the issue went away. She wasn't crying. Because what? The teacher got it. The teacher understood. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Saying that a child should just get over something like a light switch is not the way to go. Now, the children will not talk to parents. If they see, number one, you don't have that time. If they're talking to you and you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, and they're talking to you, a lot of people will say, oh, Juno, they need you to see. My daughter comes to me. I always tell her, if I don't drop my phone, remind me. She comes to me, I take my phone, I put it down, and I face her. What is the problem? Sometimes you say, is that what you wanted? I said, now make me, we play. But the point is, I want you to know at that point in time that you are the most important person in my life. And what you want to tell me is very, very important. So I give you my undivided attention away from the phone. Wow. I'm human. I may not put it down, but I've already given her the permission to tell me that I should put it down. So if I am typing, maybe I'm in the middle of typing something, I said, give me 2 seconds. I'll just type it, post it, drop it, and listen to you. That's what I do. So she knows that I have her time. She knows that I will not judge her. Sometimes I may not even have the answer immediately. I'll say, give me time, let me process this. Let's talk about it at tomorrow at this or that time. Because we're parents doesn't mean we have a magic pill and we must know everything. You can tell your child, give me time, let me just process it. Let me know what to do about this situation. When they see that you're relatable, when they see that they can connect with you, then they can tell you their secrets, their challenges, their problems. But when they see that you don't have time, there was a video that my daughter forwarded to me on YouTube, and it was, they did an interview for parents and for nannies of children from different countries. So they sat just like you and I sat, but in different rooms, and they asked the parents, what's your child's favorite color? The mother can say red, the nanny will say blue. They will ask the child will say blue. Essentially, anything that the nanny knew the children more than the parents themselves. So if the child had a problem, do you think that the child will go and rush to mommy or daddy, or the child will rush to the nanny? That's why I say that parenting, because you gave birth to biological children, does not make you a parent. Goats give birth to children. Monkeys, chimpanzees, kangaroos, they give birth to, frogs give birth to children. So it's not an achievement to give birth to a child. The achievement lies in how you raise that child. That child is old, because a lot of people say, I turned out all right. My parents beat me very well. I turned out all right. Which turned out all right? I think telling people, what is the measure? What is the KPI? What are the key performance indicators that make you think you turned out all right? And oftentimes you find that the KPIs are they're married, they have children, they have a house, and they have a car. That makes you successful. I beg your pardon. If those are the KPIs, then all our politicians in Nigeria, they've passed that now. They've all been raised well. And that is why they continue to make us suffer. They continue to be corrupt, take all the money. When they parented with the rod, they were parented with the rod. So when they parented with values, whether conscious or unconscious, look at the mess that we're in. So we need to wake up and make sure that our children, they can talk to us about anything. Can your son, as a mother, come and meet you and say, Mommy, I'll show you something in my penis. It's swelling. Can your son come and tell you that? Or can your daughter come and meet you that, oh, Dad, my breast is hurting. There's something here. Hey, even the mother would already say, hey, don't you have your breast? I didn't rape you. All sorts of you're sick. The world is sick. The world needs help.
Yeah, I think you've said it, and I'm just going to reiterate that also for anybody listening to us. And the first thing is, is so important. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you just have to be intentional about it. And the way I've done it, and I'm still doing it, because we are all still in that journey, is to be a daily learner of how to be the best parent that has ever lived. To the
Yes.
best of your knowledge, in terms of seeking for information, in terms of going for webinars, going for, reading books. Some people will tell me that, oh, but my father didn't read books before you do that. No, we're in that age that you need to be learned. You need to be informed. You need to know what you need to do. If your children or child is exhibiting some traits, you need to be able to identify it at the nick of your hand, that this is what this is called. And if you are also going through some challenges, for instance, if you have a child or children that are going through some things and you can't undo it, or you don't know how, you are in the right place to speak out. And if you're watching us, you're going through one mental health issue for yourself or for your child, or your child is going through one, please kindly reach out to me on seyi.findingpurpose@gmail.com. Apart from what I do as a grief recovery specialist, I'm also a certified mental health first aider, and I can help you and also refer you if it needs to be, because there are different grades. But it's so important, because a lot of things that we do in our community is to tend to hide things, because we don't want other people to see us as that parent that
We don't
can.
want to be judged.
We don't
A
want to
lot
be.
of people don't want to be judged about their
Exactly.
parenting.
Mhm.
I've even seen videos where people say, I saw some video where the ladies, all these fancy videos where we are pointing at one thing or the
Yeah.
other, that is so all these Instagram reels, and she said, this is how my parenting is much better than your own, and it's like boom, 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 like it's not. The thing is, those things may soothe our ego to say that everybody is doing their best. Everybody is not doing their best when it comes to parenting.
Yeah.
And that is why a lot of people don't always agree with me. And I'm not here to be agreed with. I'm here to put the facts out and to help people. See, we're not all doing our best. We can do better. Even me, as I'm talking here, we can all do better when it comes to this parenting, because it's an intentional journey. When you say people should come and pay for parenting course, you will see that you will not see them there. When you tell them to come and pay for webinar, for books, you will not see them there. But when you tell people that something is happening in Big Brother, or when you tell them that the one money course is happening, something, you will see them gather there. Because the values are placed money-wise, finances, that is where the values are. And that is why the children also grow up and they will do anything. Now you see all the Yahoo boys having their bats in the streets, 7 sex, raping their mothers, killing their mothers to get money. Because what? The values are non-existent. All they knew, their parents suffered and did everything when it came to money. They will compromise, do anything when it comes to money. So when it comes to them, why won't they do it? There's examination malpractice everywhere. All sorts of things are happening. And then you expect the children to turn out all right. That person that says, my dad didn't read any parenting book, tell that person to go and ask the dad. If the dad wish they had access to the information we have now, and if they won't say no. They didn't have that information. If they did, they would embrace it. It was not readily available like it is today. This sort of information, we're just giving it freely on Instagram, on different platforms that you're using right now. It's easily available. My people perish for lack of knowledge. When you're told that you should do those courses, you refuse to do the courses. You refuse to join free webinars. You refuse to put money down for your parents. What is your budget for parenting every year? What is it? How many books do you intend to read when it comes to parenting? You don't have a lot. You don't even have any. It's not even anything on your list. When you're writing all those your lists in January, parenting is nothing like that. All you want to do is, I want to be godly. I want my children to be godly. Is it a magic formula? And I need people to understand that because you're a Christian does not mean your children will be godly. It is these values again. There are heathens that don't believe in God that have great, amazing children. There are people that are not Islamic or Muslim or Christian or Buddhist or of any religion, and they have outstanding children. It is not about your faith. I am a person of faith, but you don't need faith to bring up a great child. So we should stop camouflaging and hiding behind the fact that, oh, if I'm Christian and take my child to church, my child will be godly. Your child can still be masturbating and doing all sorts of things that you don't like, even in the church. The pastor got
I think it's not even what I think it's not even what you don't like, it's what you don't know.
Ignorance. My people perish for lack of knowledge.
Yeah, because you don't know, and we all, and if you're listening to us, it's so important, that you get to know your child. You get to know your child. You have no idea, if you're listening to us, what some children, including yours or mine, are doing on their phone. So we have to intentionally, go, find out how we're going to get a relationship with them, to know what's happening in their own world. You have to intentionally, you just said something, having a budget for parenting costs, having a budget to understand, how does this girl think? What's the next? Okay, my child is moving from preteen to teen. What do I need to start knowing now? My child is going into university. What are those things that I need to know now that they are going to university? They are moving the next step. What are the challenges? So that there you are prepared. You are one step ahead of them. And all that can be possible if you are an intentional parent. All that can be possible if you are sure with yourself that you are constantly learning, constantly. Oh, what's the new thing? What's the new idea? Oh, my son was teaching me some new slangs. What are the emojis that they are using now that if they say at once, you understand it? So it's so important that we, especially African parents, invest in knowledge. Invest in knowledge. And when I mean knowledge, I mean in all its ratification. Knowledge in books, knowledge in your belief, knowledge in the value, knowledge about your children, knowledge about your spouse, knowledge about your environment, knowledge about their health. So there's just a lot of things, because it's a whole lot of, it's a
You
lot
mentioned
of
the
things.
phone.
Yeah,
You mentioned the phone, and I want to pick up on that phone, because a lot of us still believe that our children need a phone. Outside of that online school, your children, especially when they're not even teenagers, they don't even they don't have to have a phone. I'm saying it again. You don't feel under pressure for your child to have. Let the whole class have a phone. My daughter has been in that space, and it did not affect my esteem, because I boosted her morale and let her understand the reason why I didn't want her to have a phone. So don't feel that your child must have a phone. It's like throwing your child in the jungle. It's too dangerous, this phone thing. People are complaining all the time. And I'm thinking, who is the boss here? Must your child have a phone? Is it by force? One of the things I did when my daughter didn't have a phone was to engage her in multiple activities. By the time she's finished her activities and she has eaten and we've hung out, she's tired, she's ready to go to bed. Phone was not her priority. When as she grew older, she started to create apps. I started to get her to create, because she loves software development. I started to get her engaged. During the COVID, she was doing 2 hours of coding. What are our children doing? Your children are busy downloading things on the internet, consuming, and we are a consuming nation. What are your children doing differently? What are they producing? Your children don't need to have a phone if they are doing something creative. So sometimes my daughter can be creating a dance video, editing the dance video. It can take her an hour and a half. It's fine. That's an hour and a half of you not being on one stupid Instagram or Snapchat. I don't mind. Give them a substitute. Your child doesn't have to have a phone. Your child at the age of 13 doesn't have to have a phone. Even a 13-year-old, if they are not mentally and emotionally ready to be on the online, and you know that, don't give a child a phone. Explain to the child and find other things. If the child is just looking, there's nothing to do, then there's a problem. But if a child is engaged, why does your child need a phone? Why? Even I, as much as I love to use social media, I ask myself, what can I do instead of using this phone today? It's part of the question I ask myself. Scrolling people's timelines, even parents, you will see some people, their comment is on every single story. They're commenting up and down the whole of Instagram. You will see, but you're coming again. Yeah? You're coming again. You know, I think I don't want to be like this. So spread all over. You know what you say, social media. You're all over every comment, every blog. You know what is happening there. Because we're not victims, but we have made ourselves become victims of this social media. Do your bit and go. Communicate a bit and go.
Yeah, which is also part of the mental health, because a lot of parents are having mental health issues because of what they're seeing online. So let's free ourselves. Sometimes I just give my phone to my son. When I finish my work, give it back to me as my reward, because I need to get this done. So we need to just mention the phone. You don't have to be under any mental health issues because you cannot afford a phone to your child. If you feel that child, that's why I used to tell people, if you feel that child is not mentally developed enough to make the right choices when they have a phone, then don't give it to them. Let them be matured
Don't
enough.
let it be.
Let them be matured enough before you can do it. Don't be under any financial pressure that, oh, all my children have it, all the other children have a phone, and I cannot afford, phone, especially this generation that they know exactly what kind of phone that they want. They want iPhone, so that it just exactly, don't be under any pressure, to have any mental health.
Maybe we have another topic, another discussion, because you find that there was a time when parents used to parent their children, but now children are parents. You know that children parents
Exactly.
now.
Yeah.
Children are parents. So we have that. Somebody is asking, the human beings are not perfect, including children. How do you address the character flaws of children? Now, addressing the character flaws of children also has to do with their personality type and their traits. But we can't cover it in this way. It has to do with their personality type. How you would deal with my own character flaw is different. It's always going to be different.
Yes, that's so different. And just to add to that, I had to do a personality test for my son. And he's sanguine choleric. Do you understand? He's more sanguine than choleric for those that are, So sometimes when I see him being jovial and all that, I know he's a sanguine. So I have to pull him back because I'm intentional about that. I need to know who you are. I'm choleric melancholy, so I want things done. So understanding their personality will let you know, who they are, so that then you will know what you can even use to help them. But a lot of people say, oh, why do they need to know? Why do I need to know their personality? You need to know their personality. You need to know their strength. You need to know their weaknesses. You need to know things that they can aggravate to, and all that will even help you in advising them if they want to talk to you about it. What courses, what subjects they can take, some time ago, my son was telling me he wanted to do a particular course. In my head, I know that because I'm in my space, I know that's not the best, course for him. But you know what I did, Ronke? I allowed him do the course.
That is it.
And
that is exactly what I did with my daughter.
Let me tell you what happened with that. It was so fun. He did the course, then he was struggling. Then I didn't say anything until when he came by, he said, Mommy, I should have listened to you to be able to do that.
That's why they don't blame you. If you don't allow them, he can say, my mom never allowed me. They may live the rest of their life believing that you didn't allow them the opportunity that they wanted.
Exactly.
But when you allow them, give them your support, let them know your concerns, but give them your support. Then like I said, my daughter and her dance. When she was said she wanted to dance, go to school, she wanted to dance. I took her to all the dance things. She auditioned. She saw how they were smoking there, how they were toasting her, how everything was happening there. See, you made her own decision herself.
Yeah. So you saw him, and I could do that because I've invested in knowing, and for me, when he came back and said, oh, Mommy, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. I said, but unfortunately, we're on this journey. You've made your choice. That's integrity. You've made your choice. Then you have to put in all that you can to be able to come and because you made a choice, and you have to pay the price to be the best at anything that you make in terms of your choice, because that's also integrity. So as parents, just to conclude, is we must be, we've said a lot of things today. Number one, values. You need to have a value, and it's not, you said something that is it's not about just writing it out. Even with all our goals, just writing and not implementing. You need to sit down and ask yourself, what are my values? When I'm there, when I'm not there, what are my values? What values do my children see of me? Not what I think they should know. So if I'm not there and they're like, talk about your mom, and they're not going to be smart or anything or under any compulsion, what would they say are your values? Number two, in terms of mental health, every one of us goes through one mental health or the other, but there is help available. As a parent, there's help available. Ronke has just told us about investing, in courses that can help us. So all those things that you're like, oh, my life, oh, my children, there are things that can just some person, they will just give you a solution and it's all solved. And also for the child, for your child that is going through something, make sure that you have a relationship. You are relatable. Sometimes we are not relatable, and that's, it's not a fault of our own, but we can retrain ourselves. to calm down, because when you sometimes I'm like, Seyi, be calm down, so that you calm down to be able to be relatable, so that they can speak to us. Then there was a time, Ronke, also that I posted something that I know because of time we are running out of time, but I posted that and I said it's a picture of how we treat other people's children versus how we treat our own children. We're kind of more lenient to other children than our children. We need to stop that. We need to stop that. What you're doing, what you're doing to that child, because I have a relationship with my son. Sometimes he tells me, but you did that to that child. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, you two have your own turn. So it's so important that we balance things like that. And all those things comes from awareness, being the better version of you, not of the child. You need to improve yourself before you're enforcing it on the child. As you grow, your child will grow. As you grow, your child will grow. As you grow, things will change. That's growth. So it's so important that with mental health issues and with parenting and with our teens and with the world that we are in, we need to be knowledgeable. Internet, how to be safe on the internet, what they are watching on the internet, how we can do security. The topic is so big, so I don't know, we can't finish it. So Ronke, on the final note, what's going to be your final word, and how can people reach you? Because it's just a whole lot of topic we can be here for a while.
Okay, so I always say that you can find me on social media using the name Ronke Posh. I believe I'm the only one that is Ronke Posh on social media. I'm not seeing it anywhere else.
I didn't even ask you, why are you Ronke Posh though? Why is the Posh there?
That one also came from many years ago when I was still in the UK, and my friend just used to say Posh, and I had a business where I was creating exclusive party bags, and I called it Posh Party Packs.
Yeah.
So Posh became the name. So when I moved to Lagos and I wanted to start the school, it just came. I just thought, let me just leverage on the brand that is known. This one I'm on new terrain, and the rest is history. That's where it started from.
That's good.
Final words to connect with me, Ronke Posh, as you see on the screen, is how you can reach me here on YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel. Also on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on all social media, all healthy social. Well, which one is even healthy? On Twitter as well. You can find me there. Or ronkeposh1@gmail.com. I have a website, ronkeposh.com as well. So just click on Ronke Posh online. You would find me there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. My numbers are there also to reach me, so I'm pretty easy.
Yeah. Then you have a webinar coming up on Saturday. Tell us about it.
So the webinar is about family values, because I find that when there's a case on social media, everybody's forwarding it on WhatsApp, forwarding it, posting it, and shouting and saying, "God forbid my children! Oh, children of nowadays, this is what is happening." And I keep telling them these things are not going to get better; they will get worse. What you need are strong core values as a family. You need a family constitution. You need core beliefs for your family. So if you do believe that, you want that, it's not about shouting. It's not about telling your children, telling them stories. It's about a living, breathing human being, living the values of your family and the different ways that can be sustainable in your family. So we're going to have spend some time together, about 2 hours together, crafting these family values, understanding how we can instill it, how we can implement it. But it's not for everyone, it's only for intentional parents.
Yeah, wow, I love that. And there's actually a book, she has so many books. So go on and get the book. And our daughter also wrote a book, I think last month.
Calm down.
Yes, show us the book.
Calm down. She's been having webinars as well. So that's why we have the book behind. She herself has been speaking to a school on Monday as well. She has become a public speaker by default. We didn't plan that, but that's what happens in this life.
Yeah, she was interviewed, and that's what intentional parenting is all about. They follow you. Your children can see you. I was, in fact, I was saying something. I think it was yesterday with my son, and we're talking about sleeping early, and he said something that was so funny. He said, "But I'm more productive at night." I said, I looked at her, where did you get that from? But that's what you always say. You're more productive at night. Because they see us, they know what we are doing, and if you do it, they are also challenged to be more. So there are so many things that we can do, being intentional. They can make our children writers. They can be speakers. They can be code, go into code computer, so many things. But we all have to, like Ronke said, be intentional and create the time for it. You can't expect, to have a field filled with a lot of things when you have not invested into it. So we need to invest as a father, as a mother. We're going to talk about that another day. Everybody has their responsibility. It's not a matter of it's the mother that should do it. That's another mental health issue. Or the father that will do it. That's another mental. We all, and it's not even a matter of it's just us, it's just the parent. It's the community. So children coming into your space, what do you do with them? A lot of people will come and say, oh, they're not my children, and you just leave them. As a community, when a child has a contact with you, what will they leave when they leave you? So ask yourself, this show is all about finding purpose. So we are finding purpose and we are helping people find purpose. So as we said, this is a very, very interesting, and we cannot cover all the aspects. But what I can say and leave with you today: be intentional, have your values. Get, I just learned that I have a budget for self-development that's covered everything. But Ronke has told us today that we need to have a budget just for parenting alone. So I know that we are all familiar with personal development, leadership, career, and all that. Parent, and we know marriage and all that, but parenting courses. I bought a course on sexuality for teens. I bought one for leadership in children. All those kinds. So invest in all those things so that then we can be intentional. So Ronke, I want to say thank you, for coming on our show today. It's been, we can be here for 2 hours and more. Thank you for, what you do. I believe you're working with the best. Yeah, I believe that you're working with the best age of children, because that is where it all starts from. Having that right, once the foundation, my belief, I might be wrong, I'm not an educationist, but once the foundation is right as children, exactly. I went to a very good primary school, nursery school and primary school. I went to Air Force Primary School, VI, and for me, that's that foundation built everything up for me. So I feel honestly from us that you're working with the very best of the age, starting from that preschool, to where they are 10 and older. So we want to say thank you for all you do. Thank you for the space that you have been over the years and impacting of people and the women and everything, and all your dancing on your Instagram reels that you do. Thank you for all that. But from all of us, we just want to say thank you. And for people that are joining us, that have joined us today, we want to say thank you and thank you and thank you. This is Seyi from Finding Purpose in Your Pain. And we do this twice a month where we talk about real issues, people's story, and we help people find purpose. And for everyone watching us on YouTube, we are not on Instagram today, YouTube and Facebook, thank you. And people that will watch on replay, also thank you. If you have any issue, or you want to talk about an issue, or you want to reach Ronke, she's giving you a handle. And if you want, to talk about issues, or you want somebody to help you, to hold you with your grief, with mental health, how you can cope with things, please send an email to seyi.findingpurpose@gmail.com, where we can help you or signpost you to places where you need to get help. It's not about where you get the help. It's about you getting help and fulfilling the purpose that God has given you. And as we round up on our show every time, on our mantra, the whole world is waiting for the manifestation of you, of the whole world. So stop keeping people waiting. Stand up from where you're sitting and fulfill your purpose. And let the whole world call you blessed, because that is where you are. So on our show today, we just want to say thank you and bye. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you. Until we meet again.